Quick story. A girl and a guy met and fall for each other. They both love music, so decide to work together. And they were pretty good at it. Now on the surface, everything looked perfect. But oh, the stress of the city. So they decided otherwise. They packed up and left for the countryside. And that's where we meet this family, raising their children, growing their own food and their business together, on a quest to find a new normal and a new sense of happiness. And if you're looking for the same thing, then join us and we can unpack this thing called life together. Where are my manners? Let me introduce myself. I'm Shamel Olwago, my husband's Amondi Olwago, and together we are Nile Ochi. And this is Z-Quest. Okay, let's talk about free speech. I want to talk about the limitations on free speech, if there are any. And I would like to talk about what your definition of free speech is.
Okay.
And what you think, if any, there should be.
I think it's important there is free speech.
Yeah.
I don't think absolute 100% free speech. I don't think it exists. And I think if there is free speech, because not everything is good to be said.
Yeah.
It's to exercise democracy. I think that it has to exercise democracy, true democracy.
But okay then, so there's a lot to unpack. What would your definition, if you were running the government tomorrow, what would your definition of free speech be?
Well, I think it would exclude. It would be everything, but it would exclude racism, discrimination.
Yeah. Discrimination of who though?
Of any sort. Any sort.
How far are we going with this?
We're going as far as and it would exercise human rights. That's actually the three things, because you can't go wrong if there's no discrimination. See what I mean?
But discrimination against who? And what is good? Like, okay.
Well,
I'm a gardener.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna really just play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
I'm a gardener. I love gardening. My next door neighbour, not so much of a gardener.
Yeah.
Doesn't really keep that much greenery around, yeah?
Yeah.
I have a bush.
Yeah.
My bush keeps on growing over.
Yeah.
Okay. I cut it back all the time.
Yeah.
But in fact, they're even bothered by the bush even growing. Yeah?
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then they start going to the council and saying, you know what, this bush has to come down. Now and again it goes over, and yes, they cut it, but this is not really a green area. This is really an eyesore to me.
What
is this discrimination against gardeners?
Oh, I understand, but if it's in the constraints of the law, okay.
Yeah.
Which means that if you do have free speech based on no discriminations, when you actually make laws, you would be more careful to not discriminate against anybody. Now, if I buy a plot of land and then I happen to grow a bush that don't go over a certain height,
yeah,
and I respect the law, and it's in my on my land,
yeah,
and it's in my right to have it. Mm-hmm. Now at this point, you have no claim to say, "Oh, I don't like the look of that bush." You see what I mean? Because that wouldn't be freedom of speech, and that would be you infringing on my rights to.
Maybe I gave you a bad example. I'm just trying to say, where does discrimination end? Does it end at somebody's feelings? Or is this literally about, any discrimination?
Well,
because this, okay, all right. So anti-discrimination, it could be something as simple as saying to yourself, okay, nothing to do with race or religion or gender or sexuality. Mm-hmm. Where does that stop?
I think that it's about respecting people's choices, identity.
What if somebody's identity is against the current law?
well, it means that the laws have to be reseen, because a lot of laws are currently in place. The rules of discriminations were really flawed at the time. It wasn't really looked into, and actually was very biased towards being racist to a certain group
or homophobic
of people, or homophobic, or all sort of things,
or sexist,
exactly, or sexist. So when they did those laws, hence why there's so many laws, if you really look into those laws till today, they are highly questionable, and they should be taken down.
They should be reformed.
They should be taken down. Yeah, they should be reformed, exactly.
All right then. So, what's your definition of free speech then?
I think is being able to fully fully speak your mind, as long as what you're saying doesn't infringe on people's freedom.
Do you think that
and in that, if you respect these rules, which means that, for instance, that
what would that look like? Because say for the anti-abortion people, if they get up and say this is a sin, yada yada yada, the same old stuff that they usually say about it, are they infringing on somebody's right to have an abortion by saying it?
So you're talking about, if I understood right, you're talking about the people that are against it.
Yeah. If the people who are against something get up and talk about it and why they're against it, does that infringe on the rights of the people?
It does, because even if they have a point, scientifically speaking, that they say, okay, an embryo from, this from day dot to this age is considered as human, because some people, there's debate around, are you getting rid of life or not, and in some cases you definitely are, but I'm just saying, and it's up to also people's opinion, obviously, as you know,
and their beliefs,
and their belief. Now it's still someone's body, and it's still something that they're going to have to make that decisions on their own, if they want to proceed with an abortion or not. Now, however, there is highly questionable limits. How far can you wait until you can have an abortion?
So when
it has to be in the constraint. What I'm trying to say, it has to be in the constraint of science, humanity. And because some things I've heard in regards to this, even though I'm not pro against it at all, it's just they're highly questionable. They're absolutely questionable. That the edge of the embryos.
You're not against it. You said I'm not pro against it. You mean you're not against it, or you?
No, I'm not against. What I'm trying to say, I'm not against abortions, but at the same time,
under certain circumstances.
Exactly, under certain circumstances. We've heard things, I'm sure a lot of people heard the same stories where, certain women being really advanced
during their pregnancy.
No,
bring this back to free speech.
No, I'll bring it back to free speech. I'm just saying, the reason why I'm saying that is because it depends on the situations as well. Some people, they have to.
But how does somebody talking about something infringe on someone's rights?
It can, if they want to create a movement about it. A lot of people are talking about things. If a
movement is created, does that mean that movements become laws?
Doesn't mean, but it can definitely end up that way at some point.
Well, then how would you go about stopping people from having it then?
From having what?
Freedom of speech, because then in that case people can't have it, because if it will lead to change.
No, what I'm trying to say, you can have your opinion, you can say what you think, but to vehemently now being against people,
Mm-hmm.
down to even talking about with how some patient need weed in order to help themselves
for medical treatment
through the illness, and it's very important. Some people want to stop that, I mean, they have position to do so just because they don't believe in it, and I'm not too sure that it's totally fair. See what I mean? But
then now you're talking about people with positions. I'm talking about freedom of speech, which is supposedly supposed to be for everybody.
But your position's gonna matter in also, because if you're a politician and you have a platform and you say certain things and they have direct consequences.
So do you think freedom of speech should be only, let me think about this, should only be limited to those without power?
I don't think it's that black and white. I think that
because if you're in a position to affect change, then
you have to be aware and honest about what your positions, the influence your position has.
Do you think that maybe? Okay, say you end up having a platform. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you create a platform. You create people who listen to you. Blah blah blah. You're still a citizen.
Yeah.
You then all of a sudden start, saying whatever your opinion is. It's freedom of speech, right?
Yeah.
But now you're in a position to influence people.
Yeah. So.
Is it now? Are you abusing your right, or are you using it freely?
Well, that's what's tricky, because it depends on what you're doing. I mean, you partly can, you can. All right. I think it's very complex, and I do think there's gray areas, and then I think that you partly can. I guess you can. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that it's a dangerous thing. I think it's a dangerous thing. That's what I think it is. And the more I see people using it, the more I think that we need to learn about it responsibly. Like, it needs to be taught responsibly, so that, because it's nothing that you really grow up learning about how to use.
I think it depends.
It's just one of those things that you're told is a right that belongs to you no matter what. And then when you stand up on your soapbox and say something and get cancelled.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Because we can't talk about freedom of speech in a vacuum when there's also cancel culture, when there's also consequences, people, so many, there's a list of people who have been either laid off, put out of a job, because they've gone and done something.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And as a result of their exercising of their freedom of speech, have basically just lost their whole entire lifestyle. Their lifestyle's changed overnight.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said,
so have we really? Is it a freedom if it is? Is it a freedom if it's that limited?
All right. Do you know what? Like we were.
Should we rename it?
What we
because it's just to call something a freedom.
Yeah.
To call something a freedom implies freedom.
But
implies liberty.
Yeah.
Implies the taking of liberties as well.
Yeah.
The usage of it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if we stopped calling it freedom, then people wouldn't feel so free. You see what I'm saying? They would use it with more caution. Because by calling it freedom of speech, it's as if we are misguided as how to use it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like when we were talking about the abortions. It's when do you stop? When do you say
this is the point?
This is the point.
Unfortunately,
because I'm not even against it, but at the same time, I'm still aware. I think you have to be balanced enough to exercise this right.
And who is going to put that balance in?
Laws need to be rewritten in order to do so. Because
but the thing is, laws
were not a lot of laws were not written they claim it was under democracy, but freedom of speech was very controversial when they read those laws. Like you said, you couldn't say anything you want because
But then you can say whatever you want as long as it's in the law to say it. But then only up until recently you could legally be racist.
But I understand.
You see what I'm saying? You could legally say racist things to people and not have any consequence.
Yeah, I do.
So up until then, it was legal. You see what I'm saying?
I understand, but I do understand also the philosophical approach you have by saying, okay, is it really freedom of speech if it's dictated by maybe one or a group of person to people that decide if it's right or wrong
yeah.
to say what you're saying and what you're talking about too.
The thing is, in that freedom of speech, I guess other people have their own freedoms to tell you back whatever they want to tell you. And here ensues the madness as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because a part of being responsible, like a responsible human, is knowing that not everything is to be said.
True. Yes, that's really true, yeah.
Not everything is to be said.
No, not everything.
You're just saying it just for saying it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because you have the right to say it.
I think you have to be realistic. I think if you are a strong believer that freedom of speech is really important and there's nothing wrong about it, you do have to be a believer in the consequences of it. So if you do say certain stuff, there will be
consequences.
Consequences.
But then what is freedom with consequence?
It's life.
You think so?
Absolutely. I mean, every action has a consequence. You even if it's good.
That's why I do believe in us changing the term of freedom, because it doesn't. You're not that free. If there's consequences to it.
The current democracy, we all know there's a high hypocrisy when it comes down to saying, we live in a free world, a free country, more so, and the same-sex countries actually enslave other, financially other countries. It's a high hypocrisy. So at the same time, I'm like.
Yeah, I know, but right now we're trying to deal with even the concept of it because it is still a law.
But the term of democracy is from those same countries. So if it has been determined that way inclined, you can only imagine what democracy is anyway.
I understand.
So I think that I don't know if someone has to be in charge of it and decide.
But this is the problem. Someone was in charge of it. Someone did decide it. But if your views are skewed to this way, everybody who doesn't agree with you now, you can outlaw.
Basically, that's what happened. Basically.
But so then the actual concept in itself is rendered obsolete because. Well. I believe, you're not free.
I believe that basic human rights has to be respected. Which then, even if you have an opinion about something, you're not gonna all of a sudden be in danger. And today, that's not the case.
That's true. That is true on both sides.
On both sides, which means there is a lack of education about what is a human right.
Or how to receive information.
Or how to receive, information, yeah.
Because remember what I was talking about this morning about being in your bubble. And if you don't want to come out of that bubble, you don't have to now.
No, you don't.
Before, you always used to be faced with something else because you had to go into the world and interact with people. True. Whether you knew them or not, you had to interact with people. Everything took a person to do everything.
True, yeah.
Remember, you get on the bus, you had to give your money, you had to get back your change, you had to talk, you had to interact with somebody, and you sit down, you got to interact with somebody. Now you don't have to interact with anybody.
But you know what? Also, you've got the possibility today to make a group with
like-minded people,
and that alone could be potentially dangerous because you can have absolutely questionable principles and make that group, and the people that join that group are absolutely questionable.
Yeah.
And those groups have the potential to create a movement, and that's where freedom of speech is questionable in itself, because then are they free to do that? Should we stop them? Whose responsibility is it?
Do you know what? I think that I tell you what, I feel like the idea of freedom of speech being put into any constitution around the world was just like, they were like the Google of their time.
Yeah,
the intentions were pure, okay? But it's just something that just ran away from them. They didn't see where that would go.
I think
potentially, because don't forget, it was made at a time where, you know, a big majority of the world weren't even considered to be humans. You know what I mean? All browns, not human. Okay.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, all women, sub men. Like
of course.
it was only considered for a small few people walking on this earth. Now you have to include everybody. Now it's not working out.
But you know what? It's probably important to remember when those laws being written.
Yeah.
We came out of civil war.
Yeah.
Colonizations.
Yeah.
All kind of things. Or like the life back then, for like you say, for a big majority of people, wasn't great. So any standard will do. You know what I mean? Because it's so bad as it is. So then when finally the madness stops, or what your perception of madness is, then you feel free.
Yep. So do you think it needs to be reseen?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Love constitution.
To kind of just get in, to kind of, not that it needs to be done away, it does not need to be done away with.
No, absolutely, no.
But just to realign with today's society.
Exactly. Reevaluate, because and it's funny we're referring to this, because regarding abortion, we know not every countries agree, though those are countries are really close to one another, and there's not a consensus where we can all agree on something yet.
No.
So something that's so important is absolutely important, and not because you should or shouldn't do it. That's not for me to answer that even.
Yeah.
What I'm just saying, it has its place, like something with euthanasia.
Do you think that there's anything in the world?
On that.
Do you think there's anything in the world that is agreed upon? Any one law that's agreed upon worldwide?
Maybe in regards to killing someone, probably we all know that, you know, by law you have to be prosecuted, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know every place in the world to answer that. But I'm just not even talking about every place in the world. I'm just talking about because we're from. If
you just take continent by continent, then
Europe,
go on.
For instance, we're from Europe, who are considered to be very dignified. Yeah, that comes with its own
scarf,
right? But I'm just saying that even amongst ourselves, if I can say that,
you're not one of them,
right?
Okay,
we don't seem to agree.
No, we don't.
Even administratively, we don't agree.
No.
And I'm just saying, so we have to kind of agree first. Like there needs to be like an ongoing thing where, like, okay, you know, I mean,
what do we agree on?
What about voting now?
Yeah.
Because women can vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since what, the 50s, 60s, or something stupid like that?
Yeah, something stupid like that. I mean,
really, so...
For a long time, you had to be. It couldn't just be women to vote. It was you had to be a married woman to vote.
Yeah. And then it's like, for me, it's like.
And then your man had to be worth something. You couldn't just be Peggy down the road or whoever is Susie down the road. You had to be. You know, so somebody. Your man had to be someone of stature, and he had to be able to be eligible to vote, and then you under him could apply.
Exactly, but that's why I'm saying that it has to be reevaluated, because when we actually wrote those text back then, it was under certain circumstances.
It was before. It was pre-Twitter.
Oh, way before that.
I don't know, because then the thing is, once you leave it unmanned, unsaid, ungoverned, then it's left for unsupervised. Then it's left for whatever platform to decide. And if they've got opposing views to whoever it is that they feel like they're imposing their law on, then that's it. You can't say it.
But they're passing the buck at this point.
Yes, that's why I feel like they're passing the buck, and now it's all on Twitter's shoulders. Let's face it, they're a tech company.
Yeah.
And now you're looking for them for deciding what the realms of free speech. It's too much. It needs to be decided by, I don't know, I would say someone higher up, but sometimes you get higher up, and
the problem is exactly the supervisor needs to be supervised. And the people that, if there is any supervisor need to be supervised.
We all need to be supervised.
It's a kind of like have to be a population choices type of thing, and because that's the only way I can see being fair. But it has to be.
The thing is,
it has to be done with voting. It has to be done with a lot of things, which we're trying to do right now.
Yeah.
But we are now we're questioning if really our opinions are heard. Our own opinions.
You think we're questioning our own opinion, or whether?
No, I'm just saying that right now this is what they say. So say if we vote, it's like Brexit, for instance. Okay, now we voted for Brexit. I mean, in the UK, I'm talking about. And now, did we? Because last I heard, Russia played a role in it.
Yeah.
So is it our own opinion?
Yeah.
So that we're even questioning this. So my point is,
that's unfortunate, because now everything can be re-questioned.
And what you're thinking, is it what you're really thinking? And is it then, if you're thinking this, is it really true freedom of speech? Because
so you think freedom of speech is connected to free will?
Absolutely, yes.
Do you think we have free will then? Do you think there's any such thing as free will anymore?
60%.
60%. We do have it or don't have it.
Have it, and 40% we don't. Enough
you think so?
Enough to make you feel that you function in a society that's dignified.
Don't you think we only need 20% of free will to function?
Maybe it's lower than that. But
I think it's way lower than that. I thought you'd been really generous.
No, but I mean, we'll have to carry out a survey to find out really like
free will.
Accurate.
Free will. Okay, so you wake up in the morning, yeah? Just think about, I was thinking about it based on just a normal morning. You wake up in the morning, yeah? Yeah. Firstly, if you wake up to an alarm, you can stop that right there. Yeah. Because what made you turn on that?
I know where you're going with that.
What made you turn on that alarm?
Yeah. Work.
Right.
Got to go to work.
Or got to wake up kids.
Yes.
Or, I don't know.
Before you go to work.
Before you go to work.
No.
Or got to look good because I'm going for a workout. I say it's for my health, but Instagram. Boop.
Yeah.
And then who governs that?
Yeah.
Is it all based on what other people think of me, or is this only my decision based on what I think of myself?
So what you're saying, if it was a parallel society and maybe our perception of things were different, maybe we would make different choices and think differently. That's what it is.
Do you know what? I've had lots of ideas about a parallel world and what that might look like. Yeah. But it's too crazy. People's minds would just explode like immediately on impact. Okay, they'd be like, "Oh no,
they couldn't take it." No. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
But at the same time, I think about it and I say to myself, "No, I didn't decide this. No, I didn't decide this either." Like, I remember I was perfectly okay when I was younger without Netflix. My life without Netflix was perfectly fine. Yeah. My life without a phone was perfectly fine.
But today?
Whew, what am I going to do without my internet connection? Yeah. How am I going to function?
Yeah, it's grief immediately.
It's immediate grief.
Yeah, I understand.
Who I could be, I grieve who I could have been with the internet.
Yeah, you're feeling complete.
Who I was going to be with the internet.
Yeah, it's true.
Everything. But then it's like, isn't this governed by somebody? I mean, at the end of the day, this was a product.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Now, its intentions and what it was supposed to do and yada, yada, yada is neither here nor there. Now we're using this product. This product has changed our life so much. We don't even decide. It's decided via that.
True.
That alone, no free will. I mean, I'm saying 20% of it's free will.
The basis of marketing is to alter people's judgments and perception of things in order to sell them something. So, yes, of course.
I think it's lesser today now than it was back in the day.
Will definitely change your view on things.
All right, asking, and I'll tell you another thing as well.
It could be positive as well. It doesn't have to be negative.
No, it's not all negative. It's not all doom and gloom, but free will, though, it's supposed to be free. Yeah. This is this thing about freedom. Most of our freedoms have been eaten up by something. Yeah,
I don't think we have the capability of exercising true freedom, because if you see in human history, it has been based off of conquering land and have one-upmanship on people, population, nations. So I don't think maybe I'm totally wrong, but I don't think it's actually humanly possible to to have 100% on the earth. Yeah, I mean, look how we mess up the earth. Even to save our own self, we are terrible at it.
Do you think we're a bit like the parasites of the earth? Because if you look at other animals, they're not destructive. They're non-destructive.
Our intelligence is our downfall.
Because we think we're so intelligent.
You know, there's overthinking.
Too intelligent for our own good.
Yeah. Like, whereas you maybe acquire some things, you're satisfied with it.
Yeah.
The idea of knowing that you can get some things that is different or better because someone think it's better, because after all, it's everybody's opinion, right? But then if you realize that maybe in your environment 60% of people think that is better than that product is better than that product, but you would be just totally satisfied with this product in the first place, you are highly likely to get that product because people are saying it. That's how it actually works. Anyway, when you want to sell a product, how many people have it? You're trying to create a buzz.
It's like Apple Mac.
We base things off of that principle in order to convince other people, and we're on a constant quest of convincing people that what we know it's better for our own personal interest. And because of that, and our very nature, which is very, very, very intelligent for a species on this earth to be able to do that. The power of convincing people, and this very power. Hang on a minute, though. It's our problem.
Hang on a minute, though. Some animals are convincing as hell.
Like what?
Remember when we went to Nice?
What
the dog. At the restaurant. I would have fed that dog, taken him home and loved him forever. I would have taken that dog, I would have fed him there, my whole entire plate, and taken him home if he wanted to come back. And loved him forever.
But you know what? Too short thinking. So that dog's doing just right now, and as soon as you give him what he wants or your plate is empty, he's gone. Now we long term.
Are we?
Oh yeah.
Are we? Is that why the earth is in need of help right now? Because we're long term?
No, but we longer term. Let's say that. Longer term.
Not really.
No, but we're longer term than a duck. Come on, man.
Yeah, but then a lifespan of a dog is smaller, so maybe we're not any longer term than them. It's just that they're proportionately.
Well, too bad for them. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking our very intelligence is our very problem. You know, it's very much our problem.
Do you think
too much self-reflections, having
or not enough,
is chosen when it's not enough? That's different. You think so? Yeah, you have processed so much that self-reflection that you've seen the outcome, then you chosen that the outcome is not really for you. So then you have undoing that process in order to set in place a new process. So
So you think people who don't do enough self-reflection are actually suffering from the fact that they did self-reflection and didn't like the outcome, so decided not to?
Yeah, for a good amount of them, yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think that people haven't thought about it.
Yeah, and then they put a mental block, then forever, as soon as something occurs then it's that similar. That's how they process it. You can you can lock yourself in mentally to a certain way of thinking.
True.
And then that's it. So that I think that our mind is so mysterious in a way, and our intelligence can be vast, so vast that we're losing ourselves in it. That's I think the problem of human problem is because now we kind of lost ourselves in all this madness and system we created for us. We couldn't even save ourselves.
Yeah,
we think so hard. I mean, there's brilliant minds out there, and hopefully they be able to convince us that it's important we save ourselves. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Hopefully, and we can save the earth and ourselves in the process.
Hopefully,
and let's find another earth. And then we can all move down there. I mean, us rich people, and anybody can stay there. What I'm trying to say is, so freedom of speech is highly controversial because of that. How intelligent we are as a species, that makes us so dumb at the same time.
Is that our weakness? Is our intelligence our crime? Is our intelligence our weakness?
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse.
What makes us dumb?
Yeah. Too intelligent for our own good.
Oh yeah, I think so.
So what about this free will thing? So you believe that?
Well, for
60% is free will, and then 40% isn't.
Yeah, and again, I might be wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, but what part of it do you think is free will?
I'm talking about society, like ours over here. I think 60%. You just need just enough.
Even after watching The Social Dilemma.
Yeah, but it's a new phenomenon.
Yeah, but it's not that new. Number one,
it's not that new. It's new enough, though.
True.
New enough if you compare to other things like the church, and how the church was convincing people that was really important. Even the nobles were convinced that it was important. They still provide an income for the church, and that will give them the access to heaven. I do believe that in the society we live in today is to specifically in comparison to the old times and now, what we like to call the old times. I think 60%, just enough. Like people, at the end of the day, even when back in the day, you used to pay taxes for your king. Yeah. Even if you're starving, you still had to pay taxes, and the food you work for has to be given to him. Yeah. So this is that when you come the
how has it changed?
The level of freedom, it has changed. They changed that. It just doesn't mean it's good. Something can be so bad that you think that something that's in place is good. How has it changed though? And
you still have to pay taxes to the king,
but
and you still have to give him the products you make.
Even though. Definitely,
it's just there's a new king.
Even though it's altered today, there's still a window where you can come out of this life. And
there always was a window.
Not so much back then.
There always was a window.
I think so.
Oh yeah.
But
you just had to be willing to whore yourself, and then whore yourself properly.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Man or woman?
No, I'm not. Fine. I understand,
that was okay. Listen,
but I'm talking about.
Listen. You have to just think about it as a hustle, okay?
Yeah.
That was the hustle back then.
Yeah.
There's now a new hustle.
Yeah, definitely. But if you bring it back to freedom of speech and free will, I believe that today you have more than back in the day. This is a bit how you. It's the old tactic.
The thing is, hang on a minute. Not really, because if you used to get up and say, "Okay, down with the king," you get in lock up. If you come and threaten the prime minister publicly, or the president, whoever's in charge publicly, you're going to be seen to.
Definitely, but I'm just saying that if you. I'm just saying, okay, you take the colonization, for instance. They deprived those countries so badly. So by the time they had their independence, even though the independence came at a grave cost. It was better. It felt better for them to have their independence. The feelings of freedom, even though it can be experienced, doesn't mean it's truthful.
Yeah,
and
it's the idea of it.
It's the idea of it, and obviously down the line you're gonna realize, oh, I've been tricked, because obviously freedom, independence was necessary and it was important, even for your identity as a country, to be independent from your colonizer. But at the same times, this came at a great cost. And one thing is a bit the same today. Today, if you, in comparison to the past, then you that's why I'm saying 60% is probably the amount, just above 50%, the amount they give you, so you feel so comfortable that you're thinking, you know what, I'm free enough at least to go to work, earn a bit of money, buy what I want, as long as I pay my taxes, and have children and have health services. And it's like a couple of things you have that makes you feel free. But then it's every year they eat away at it. It's eaten away. And
it's eroded. Then that's what I'm saying about this thing for, like, you know, the internet, Google, all of those social medias and stuff like that. We're not free of that, though.
No, we're not free of that. We know, but again, all right. Do you know what? I'll give you an example. And we talked many times about this before. It's like when you go on Google and you type a result, you want to buy some things, and you got pages that appear, and most of the people, they say, oh, well, I'm not going to go page number 2. I'm just going to see the first 3 results, and then I'm going to shop. So I'm going to let Google dictate what is good for me, in a way. And we have the choice. We have to understand we have the choice to say, you know what, by principle, I'm going to go up to the 5th page. And even back in the day, probably 5 years ago, not that long ago, I remember shopping online, and then page number 3, I see like new result. Now the first 5 pages, sometimes the same people on page 1 actually occupying the
page 2 and 3,
and we are the designer of that. Just because someone convinced us of this idea, we then now following it without asking ourselves.
So that's not free will then, is it?
But then we had the choice at some point, and we
lost it.
If you're gonna let, it's like you can whether let the snake hypnotizing you, or you can decide, you know what, no, I can't do that. So
once free will is,
you still have a strength
given up.
Yeah.
You can't get it back.
It's hard. I think you can, but it's hard.
It's going to be harder.
You're probably going to being able to get it back by listening to the right people. Have the right people around you that maybe think differently. And hopefully, because that's what that programs on Netflix was about. It's actually listening to people that know about it.
Or made it and feel bad about it.
And feel bad about it, and decided they're going to let you know about it.
True. So, in conclusion, you think that free will is linked to freedom of speech? Yeah,
I do. And I think we probably, if 100% was complete freedom of speech, we only can access 60% of it.
So do you think that we should reduce our freedom of speech up to where our freedom of our free will exists? Because if everything we're saying is always based off of something else and someone else that's actually convinced us of that thing, then are our actual thoughts truly our own? So when we go to offend someone, do we mean to offend them, or are we just so convinced in our beliefs that we truly believe that we're right?
That's what it is. I think
because I feel righteousness plays a big part in people believing that they have the right to.
I think it is.
To this,
I think it is. And when the preacher, it's like when the preacher is
talking to the congregation.
No. I was saying trying to find the right word.
It's alright.
When the preacher is the assailant. Yeah.
That's
a bit what it is.
Yeah.
and so it's very in order for us to be able to determine, how much freedom of speech we should have, we have to create or understand we're in a different context today, and we have to see certain
we
stuff
have to adjust it to
the new context. Constitutions, certain laws have to be reformed, and a lot of things. So to resume, I think 60% in the world that we know as we know it now is realistic. I think it's what we experience it. Over here in Europe, probably 60%. That's a lot. That's
you
that,
think
that's
60%? We have a 60% free will, and the rest is out of our making. Depending
on you,
habits,
financial position, let's say,
and your habits,
positioning in your life, and your cultural background.
Yeah, that can have an effect.
I think it then, and then I'm saying more as an average, 60%. So some people that are clearly above the law can practically say anything they want.
Yeah.
And it feels like they're above the law.
It does.
And some people, if they were saying the same thing, I don't think they will be free today. They'll probably be in jail. Or some sort of prosecution, whatever that is.
So how do you think moving forward it could be better governed? The idea or the concept of free speech?
I think that like I was saying, there's a high hypocrisy. I think that we got rid of philosophy, generally speaking. I mean, you can read about it if you're gonna be knowledgeable, and certain books you're willing to read about philosophy. But I think that what's happening now, you've got people that like the idea of philosophy, but they don't respect what philosophy is and what it is for. So we are managing all entire society without any philosophy, or really old philosophical saying, like over here in France, égalité, fraternité, liberté.
Yes.
Which, let's face it, it is not respected.
Yeah, but it's not more. That was an ideology. That was more. It sounds like more of a manifesto slogan than it does a philosophical idea. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think any scholars sat around and said, "Yep, that's the three we need to go for." Well, I think it was more of a like it's as if Brexit means Brexit sticks. Imagine it sticks, and in 100 years we're still saying it.
Yeah,
it feels like that.
Yeah, base of sovereignty.
Yeah,
I understand. But what I'm saying, do you know what you can see? Even in England, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you've got Brexit, which is based off of the idea of having true sovereignty. Yeah. And then when you've got Scotland that won the independence, which is what, in a way, UK asked from the EU, in independence. Yeah. It's actually questioned. Yeah, like they shouldn't ask for it. So
free speech does exist, but only for a few.
Yeah, I believe. Like I said, if you based it off of 60%, then some may have 70, 80, and other. Even as a nation, will have a lot less. Yeah, maybe 30, maybe none at all.
Some nations, no.
Yeah, so I believe that has an impact on who can exercise true freedom and benefit from it. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, and the thing is,
do you think that?
I think the idea of it being called, I think it needs a whole revision. I think it needs to be changed. Like what it's called needs to be reseen, because it's a bit deceiving to call something a freedom, but once you exercise it, it has the potential to get you locked up or losing your actual freedom. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, do you think that you can, in this world, or it is possible to have a world that, even if it's rewritten, where there is 100% freedom of speech?
No.
True freedom?
No.
That
I don't think it exists.
It doesn't exist, and it can't exist because of our nature, right?
It can't exist because of our nature, and it can't exist because of our diversities.
Okay. And
sometimes what one of us think of somebody else is so highly offensive to the other person. We couldn't possibly consider living in harmony.
Yeah.
Or at least civilness, if we exercise the right to let that person know about our opinion on them every single time.
Do you think you would need to get rid of double standards?
We could, but good luck with that. I don't know how you'd govern that.
Because
we'd have to stop. The double standards would have to be from the top down.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Do you think a population can hold accountable people that administratively and institutionally block freedom of speech? Do we think as a population, as a group of people, we have the power to unite against this type of
no, because that's where free will steps in, and a lot of us truly don't believe that that's even a...
Or do you think we have 60% is just enough for some people, and they're comfortable enough so they don't have to challenge it?
Yeah, some of them are okay.
I think
some of them are okay. It's okay if your thing is not being the thing that's attacked.
Yeah.
Or offended. Or questioned.
Yeah. Also, like, probably, so what, you have to pay taxes at the end of the day, you're still making 100,000 a year, so you're okay.
Yeah.
You can still,
yeah,
which is not the majority of people, but that's enough.
But still,
for some people. Yeah.
But still, people only care about things sometimes that bother them. If it's not my problem, it's not a problem.
So you're saying that things aren't too bad enough to say, okay, that's probably 80% of us now suffering as a result, so let's do something.
But do you know what's funny about it? Even if 80% of us were suffering, in a world that's so connected, we are so separated, we hardly know what the person next door is going through.
So then do you think that
you only know what the people in your pocket are going through, your bubble are going through?
But then do you think
or care to know?
Do you think then, because, do you think that suffering is necessary in order to make things better then? Because that's what it is. You suffer.
You're not suffering enough. Yeah.
You never end suffering.
Yeah.
It's like, but they know you're suffering. I mean, is it not what happened with COVID-19? I mean, we know it's a small percentage of populations.
But it's not my suffering, so it doesn't exist. Yeah.
Who's dying and
I would like to believe that that's not true, but history's shown otherwise. Also, I still understand that, the stories about things that worked out are hardly hitting news when it came to history. No one's writing a book about how something amicably was resolved and never got into bloodshed. We only hear about the crashes and the booms and the bloodshed. No one's sitting there writing a book about how two countries got along so well. No, you know what I mean? It's not history if it's not bloody. It's not history if it's
Are we too self-centered?
Hell yeah.
To the point that we're so self-centered that we're bashing our own blessing.
Hell yeah.
Which is the reason we think we're free, but we're not. And we could be freer if we were not that self-centered, and we could change things. I mean, do you think people realize this now? I mean, a lot of people are realizing that, okay, maybe we need to do something about that. A bit more people.
I feel like there's a movement for it now, but I am a little bit skeptical about the momentum's good,
yeah,
but the longevity of it all. Like, are they just going to run out of steam soon? Good form, no stamina. Yeah.
I get it.
I'm just like, are you going to run out of steam soon? How many rounds are we going to do of this? Because I feel like we're in the third round now. But there's 9 more rounds to go.
Or it could it be then people being scared more than anything else?
Of what?
Or what it would mean, the meanwhile, i.e., yes, like if you introduce this idea to anybody, they're going to be like, yeah, of course it would be better, it'd be great. But how long is that going to take for us to get there? And what do we do in the meanwhile? Do you think
in the meanwhile
is
we're going to just continue as is? You know what I mean?
Not if it's considered as a rebellious movement. You're not gonna. Do you think that's what the problem? Because I think that's where it comes from. So a lot of people are like, that's not worth it. I mean, we only have one life after all, so I'm not gonna mess up my life for the next 15 years to maybe by the time I reach retirement, while I live in a new world because I'm not. Do you think a lot of people are thinking like this? They're like, that's too much to.
I'm not sure. I feel like with any change, it's going to be people who sacrifice their freedoms. Even if that very change is for
freedom itself,
yeah. or defining what it is, because that's the problem.
Yeah.
Every time freedom has been taken or given, it's always been the person who's got the power to decide what that looks like.
Yeah.
And I feel like people now feel like they want to define it so that they know where they stand.
But then, do you think that brings me back to voting?
Yeah.
Do you think that voting, because it's supposed to be based off of freedom and freedom of thinking what you want to think, you know, like do you think that maybe when you vote, it doesn't matter what voting you're doing, I mean, what is your choices? I mean, it's not truly going to change what's wrong with our society today.
Not overnight. But
do you think it has an impact? Because if you see political parties right now, specifically in some countries, you only have two main parties and the other parties don't matter. Though some countries, yes, we can see growing small parties and
the thing is, everything doesn't matter until it does. And there's always times in society where things turn. And there was always a beginning to these parties. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, some of them are older than others. This is true. But there was a time where some of these parties that are now main parties were considered fringe. You see what I'm saying? And hence why you get extreme parties, because they know the power of that. They know the power of today's fringe is tomorrow's mainstream. They know that. So they're just staying their course and sticking about for as long as they can in the hopes that they will become the new mainstream.
So, yeah.
Because if you get peed off enough with what the status quo is, you will just go to one extreme or the other.
Yeah.
Just for difference, not for belief sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to send a message.
Yeah, because the basis of voting, it is based off of freedom of speech.
It's based more on the idea of democracy.
The idea of democracy, but how do you transform this idea into freedom? True freedom. It's
freedom to vote.
Freedom to vote. Having political parties that are free to let you know what the plans are and what would be good for us as a population, as a nation. So, do you think that freedom of speech is actually something that's an impact in you voting, and you voting has an impact on freedom of speech?
Yes, because depending on who you're going to go and vote for, their views are going to be aligned with the laws that infringe on your freedom of speech.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
So how do we come out of this context?
We're going to have...
We already have that set in place.
Because I believe that then that would mean that the freedom of speech is going to have to be regulated outside the realms of politics. And you know how we've got the laïcité here, where you could not have politics interfering with religion.
Which they're trying to change now.
Which they're trying to change again. Yeah. There needs to be one where politics does not interfere with the constraints of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Because it really is.
But do you think we should have 100% freedom of speech?
No. We're not responsible enough.
How much would you say we should have?
See, this is the thing. I think the concept of it is already flawed, because who decides what is good and what's bad? Who decides what's offensive? How do you have the right to tell somebody what is offensive to them and what they've been offended by? And then you're going to have snowflakes who, and I know it's a real derogatory term, and I mean it in everybody, anyone who gets butthurt about anything that doesn't align with their views.
Yeah.
You're going to have the ultra sensitive, just as you're going to have the ultra stoic who don't care, and I don't care what you say about me. It doesn't bother me if you say it. You're going to get the opposite. You're going to get those people. It's like you could say something that even sounds remotely like it's coming for them, and they are up in arms. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So you still have to account for the extremes when you're doing something for everybody.
But if we, if we limit freedom of speech, which is limited,
it's limited anyway. Is what my point is.
But if we constantly,
if we overtly limit it, but then do you know what it is? If you open your eyes, it is overtly limited.
No, but this is one. It's not what the. Yeah, it is.
It's something that we say isn't limited, but it's clearly limited.
Are we rendering voting useless?
No, you're not, because what we can do is use the vote to vote for this. We're not using votes for the right things.
I give you an example. The other day, I think it was in France, if I'm right, they were debating about the age of voting being at 16 years old.
Yeah.
And
do you think it should?
I think it definitely should.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are saying, well, no, they don't know. Not a lot of people. Some people are against it because it's based off like the fact that their mind is not fully formed and they're still learning, and they're going to change.
Well, then it needs to be 20. If that's the case, it needs to be 21 then.
No, absolutely.
If you're going to go by on the mind being formed.
Absolutely think that it should be 16 years old. Specifically if we live in a country where legal sex is from 16 years old. So if they can make a decision like this, or if we assume they can make a decision like this, then why can't they vote?
They can vote.
And then that got me thinking, okay, people don't want them to vote because it's under the pretext that, well, no, they're too young, they're still learning, and they don't know who they are yet, and they'll figure out, etc. I'm sorry, but even at 40 years old, I don't know what 80 years old looks like and who I'm going to be at 80 years old. So that's kind of a bit of an oxymoron to say that.
It is.
Because you're constantly growing.
Yeah.
But you see,
I just don't find the argument for limiting it high enough.
Yeah, to limit it.
Do you know what? More than their age and the fact that, which you made a good point about the fact that they're legally allowed to have sex. In some countries in Europe, it's younger than that. But yeah, at 16, I'm also going after the effect that that's when you get your NI card. That's when you get your right to work.
To work, exactly.
So from when you're a worker and you have to be taxed, I believe that would be your rite of passage to also vote. Because a lot of the laws that are...
You can't even drive.
Decided, right? A lot of the laws that... But over here it's 18 though.
No, 16.
No, it's 18.
Accompagné.
Yeah, accompagné. But in England, you can push a car by yourself at 16 if you pass your theory and you're...
as well, isn't it?
I don't know.
Years old. Yeah,
I don't know. Let us know in the comments. But I'm just saying, I would believe from when you can start earning your own keep then.
Yeah.
If you're paying taxes, you should be voting.
That's what I'm thinking. And also...
Especially if you're a citizen of that country.
School, it's obligatory from now 3 years old to 16 years old.
Exactly.
Which to me, it's like we're not aligning ourselves with our own belief. And I think that it's an infringement anyway on freedom of speech.
Because for 2 years you're muted.
Free will.
Then.
Because for no reason. And then if you take the allowances you can get here as well, same thing. You can only get it from 25 years old, I think.
So because the assumption is that it's to be able to tell you that if you're not in school, I'm already going to make your life hard for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I'm like, what happened between 16 and 25 years old?
Most of those kids are either going to be in two places. They're either going to be already working, or they're going to be in school, in higher education.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, yeah,
so
but that can be said for someone that's 25 years old.
Yeah, but by 25, they'd reckon that you've probably come out of university by then.
No, necessarily depends what you study.
Well, then what does that tell you about how long they think you should be in school?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in their eyes, is that why are you knocking around?
Yeah, but because of reading. But even based off of this principle, I think that there's already infringement on, like we established on freedom of speech.
Yes, there is.
But it almost feels like voting is rendered useless as a result, because today is obviously 16 years old. Back in the day was women or blacks, depending on country you come from.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that in the current context, we have to receive this.
Yeah, we
definitely.
So you're saying that's where the double standard slips in?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Around a lot around voting.
Yeah.
This multi-party business. I mean, we thank God for that. We live in a country over here in France where you can have multi-parties.
Yes.
But not every country is.
No, but a lot of these.
Or they make the access
a lot
so
of
hard.
These parties look the damn same anyway, so it's just
definitely,
like.
I know, but they make the access deliberately so hard that even if you wanted to form a party, it would be almost impossible.
You got so many hoops to jump through.
And you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's fair to say that we won't reach 100%.
I don't know if anyone has any ideas about where they think freedom of speech should it be untouchable, and if so, then how would it be policed? Because it's like somebody has the freedom to sit there then and say, okay, and swear at me or swear at someone in the street if you believe that person is that type of person. You can sit there and you could give them all the derogatory terms, and you are absolutely within your right to do so.
Yeah, can we justify?
But then don't I have the right? But that's the problem. I don't have the right to punch you in your face as a result. No. I just have the right to fight you back with words.
That's not speech. That's not words. But
okay, then it has consequences, though.
Yeah, but in the name of freedom of speech, can we really be derogatory to someone? Is it acceptable? What's acceptable? Because some people...
Yeah, that's the big question.
I've heard really people saying some vile things.
People use freedom of speech to justify racism.
Yeah, and sometimes, or prejudice, which to me equate to racism anyway. Yeah. But sometimes it's done
or just discrimination, whether it be against people's religion or people's sexuality or people's appearances. It goes deep.
It goes deep.
People's gender, everything.
Yeah.
But chat it up in the comment section.
Let us know what you think.
This is an ongoing conversation. I don't think it will end until we decide to, collectively.
And if you have a solution, then
maybe you got a solution. We're all about solutions here. Anyway, join us again next time for another talk. And until then, take care of yourselves, your minds, and your spirits.
Ciao.
Ciao.